Welcome everyone to SV Union High School and Junior College. And all the 7th standard students, welcome to my YouTube channel. We will be studying with the English poem for Standard 7th, Unit 2, Subunit 2.1, that is, From a Railway Carriage. This poem, From a Railway Carriage, was published in R.L. Stevenson volume of poetry for children, A Child's Garden of Verses. We are going to have a look with this poem. This famous poem was written by the great poet Robert Louis Stevenson. Let's introduce with this poem. Traveling experiences are a source of great happiness for children. In our childhood days, we all had a fascination towards traveling in the train because of its length, the sound produced by the mechanical movement of the wheels, the loud horn, etc. Here, in this poem, that is From a Railway Carriage, written by Robert Louis Stevenson, the poet describes his thrilling journey in a train and about those sights that he saw them. By learning through this poem, you will be able to understand the theme of the poem. Identify the poetic devices used in the poem. Improve your observation skills. This poem captures the essence of the poem, as it is a record of the poet's journey in the train. The poem communicates the poet's observations and thoughts as he was sitting in a railway carriage. It presents a series of realistic images that enable the reader to experience the feel of traveling in a train. Let's have a brief introduction about this famous poet, Robert Louis Stevenson. Robert Louis Stevenson was a Scottish writer. He was born in Edinburgh as the son to Thomas Stevenson and Margaret Isabella. He had literary interest even in childhood, so that he used to write stories in spite of his several diseases. In 1880, he married Fanny Osborne. He died on 3rd December 1894 when he was just 40 years old. Robert Louis Stevenson's famous works are Treasure Island, Kidnapped, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and A Child's Garden of Verses. The joy that we get from traveling is the major theme of the poem. Also, beauty of nature comes as a theme in the description, like meadows, the horses and cattle, sights of the hill and plain, etc. The poverty of human being too is a theme as suggested by the scene in which the tramp looks excitedly at the train. Students, let's start with the famous poem From a Railway Carriage. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle, and through the meadows the horses and cattle. All of the sights of the hill and the plain fly as thick as driving rain, and ever again in the wink of an eye painted stations whistle by. Students, for 2 minutes just do the silent reading. I'm sure all of you love trains, ferries and beautiful scenery. So enjoy the poem. I hope everyone has read that stanza. Students, you are kindly requested to please note down the difficult words in your classwork books. Side by side, I will be teaching you the poem. The meaning of this witch means woman thought to have magical powers. Hedge means a fence or boundary formed by closely growing bushes or shrubs. Yes, the train runs very, very, very fast. Faster than fairies and faster than witches. Poet describes the sights that he notices while traveling in the train. The train is moving faster than fairies and witches. Fairies and witches are magical creatures. They can go around anywhere within a fraction of seconds. But the poet says that the train is faster than them. It is having much more speed than these magical creatures like fairies and witches. The train is moving faster than fairies, faster than witches. Now students, here we have two more meanings. Fairies means an imaginary beings with magical powers and wings, while witches are those women who practices black magic. Students, you are requested to note down all the meanings side by side in your classwork book. Let's have a look with the next line. Bridges and houses. The poet describes how the train passes through bridges and houses. When the train passes by, we are able to watch the beautiful houses and bridges. We can able to see the beautiful rivers and lakes. The speedy movement of the train leaves behind everything. Hedges and ditches. It is not only passes through bridges and houses, but also through the beautiful hedges and ditches. It also leaves behind it. Let's see the meanings. Hedges is a row of shrubs and small trees, while ditches are a long, narrow space to dig to hold or move water. And charging along like troops in a battle. Now when the train passes by it marching forward with such a speed, we feel like as an army is marching forward. The train rushing forward like soldiers who are attacking the enemies in the battlefield. The train rushes forward like soldiers who are attacking these enemies in the battlefield. So the way these soldiers are full of energy, full of pride, with full of love towards their country and dedication towards their job. The way they rush forward, they march forward, they move forward. Similarly, the compartments of the train continue marching forward, reaching towards their target, their goal, their destination, where it has to go. The speedy movement of the train leaves behind the bridges, the houses, the fences, the ditches. Whatever is being seen quickly moves behind, and the train continues moving ahead. Let's see the meanings. What is the meaning of troops? Troops, a group of army men. Charging means moving forward in a line. Let's see the last line of this stanza. All through the meadows, the horses and cattle. The poet wants to say that it is also leaving behind the green fields, the horses, the cattle that are grazing. It passes through many fields, many farms, many meadows where you can see different kinds of horses, sheep, cattle, goats, and so on. The train also leaves behind the green fields, like where the horses and cattle are grazing. So all the sights which are seen, they are put behind, and the railway carriage continues moving forward very fast with the great speed. I hope so, students. You must have understood every line of this stanza. Let's continue with the last line's meaning. Meadows means an open land covered with grass. What is the meaning of hedge? A hedge is a sort of fence made out of a shrub or bush. Let's see what is the meaning of a ditch. A ditch is a long, low place where water can run off from a road or field. What is the meaning of troops? Troops, of course, soldiers. The meaning of meadow means is a grassy field, a place where you might find. And let's see the last word of the meaning, which means cattle, which means that cows and bulls. Let's have the summary of the poem. The poet describes the sights that he notices while traveling in the train. The train is moving faster than fairies and witches. The train rushes forward like soldiers who are attacking their enemies in the battlefield. The speedy movement of the train leaves behind bridges, houses, fences, and ditches behind. It also leaves behind the green fields where horses and cattle are grazing. I want all the students to note down the meanings in the classwork book. Thank you, everyone.